Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering today will be in the world of wrestling, inside the WWE world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my top 5 WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view moments. So with the next WWE event coming up in Money in the Bank, I decided to put this segment together for you guys today. So I'll be sharing my following top 5 WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view moments from 5 all the way down to number 1. So let's start off at number 5. Number 5 on my list is the first ever WWE Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Now, at the time, let's go back to nearly a decade now, since we're in the year 2024. Let's go back nearly a decade now to the year 2015, when the WWE Women's Revolution began. With Stephanie McMahon started off with the 4 horsewomen that were in charge of that lead. It was Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. They led the way for the women's revolution, and women's wrestling has been different ever since. You fast forward 2 years later from when the revolution started to 2017. This women's Money in the Bank ladder match set new pathways for the women's division to have the first ever women's Royal Rumble the following year, 2018. Then 3 years later, at 2021, the first ever, or a year later, 2019, with the first ever women's WrestleMania main event with Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey in the main event of WrestleMania 35. But this women's Money in the Bank ladder match really set the gateway for what things were to happen in the women's division. Now, looking back at it, this was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view at the time, so this was only exclusive to the women on the SmackDown roster back in 2017. The first ever winner was Carmella, and she ended up winning the Money in the Bank contract with some controversy. And then a few days later on a SmackDown episode, we got the second ever women's ladder match with the same 5 competitors competing for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Of course, Carmella went on to win the second ever women's ladder match, and the rest is history with the event for the women's side. But that's my 5th biggest moment in Money in the Bank history. Number 4, I gotta go with this one. Number 4 is every single member of the Shield holding the WWE Championship at 2016 Money in the Bank. I mean, that was an explosive WWE pay-per-view that featured the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It featured John Cena versus AJ Styles, and it also featured Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. This was Seth Rollins coming back from a legitimate torn ACL. Then he came back earlier than expected, and at the moment we had Roman Reigns, who was getting pushed as the next big thing in the company. We've seen a swerve with Roman Reigns going on with the situations backstage, with him dropping the WWE Championship to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins only holding the WWE Championship for a total of 3 minutes before Dean Ambrose, who won the Money in the Bank ladder match earlier that night, cashed in on his former Shield member Seth Rollins. A few moments later, Dean Ambrose became the WWE Champion, and within a 5-minute time span, you've seen Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, the 3 Money in the Bank, the 3 Shield members, win the WWE Championship in a matter of 5 minutes at the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So that moment was pretty cool and iconic, and set up for a triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose at the following WWE pay-per-view at Payback, the only time we ever seen a triple threat match between those 3 respective wrestlers. But Dean Ambrose winning that, and this moment has to go number 4 on my list. Now, number 3, I have John Cena versus Kevin Owens at Money in the Bank 2015 pay-per-view. Now, at this time, in 2015, John Cena and Kevin Owens, their chemistry was absolutely incredible together. You had Kevin Owens, who was busting onto the scene in the WWE, a guy who busted his ass in Ring of Honor and on the independent scene throughout wrestling. Finally got his big break in 2013, 2014 when he signed with NXT. At the time, Kevin Owens was the NXT champion. He made an appearance on Monday Night Raw to, at the time, the United States champion John Cena. They cut an incredible promo, and the rest is history because their rivalry was straight pure gold. It was a chef's kiss. We obviously seen Kevin Owens win the champion versus champion match, the first match that happened at Elimination Chamber in 2015. You fast forward a month later, and you had John Cena versus Kevin Owens at Money in the Bank for John Cena's United States Championship. And their second match together, I think, was their greatest one-on-one match that they ever had together. Their in-ring chemistry was great. The anticipated rematch lived up to the hype and the expectations. And with John Cena retaining the United States Championship, not only did he retain the title, but in the match we saw John Cena was worth more than the five moves of doom, something that John Cena got criticized for a lot in his career in terms of the wrestling category. But I think John Cena got pushed that night. He was elevated, and I think that's one of, if not the greatest WWE. Oh, actually, I take that back. The Bayley and Sasha Banks matches in NXT might have topped that for 2015. But in the conversation for greatest wrestling matches in 2015 in WWE, that John Cena and Kevin Owens match has to be on that list. But that moment is number 3 on my list. Now, number two on my list was John Cena versus AJ Styles at Money in the Bank 2016. An absolute dream match that finally got to take place at Money in the Bank. You saw John Cena, who was the face of the WWE for well over a decade. The man was pushed to be one of, if not the greatest of all time. And then you had AJ Styles, who was on the independent scene, wrestled for TNA. He wrestled for New Japan Pro Wrestling, one of the biggest names outside of the WWE for over a decade. And you finally got John Cena, the face of the WWE, against AJ Styles, who was arguably the face of wrestling in 2016. A dream match that finally got to come true. And that match was really good. That was just the start of their incredible rivalry. And at Money in the Bank 2016, I think to this day, AJ Styles is on the list of wrestlers that truly made John Cena push himself to his limits. But I have to say that match in 2016 at Money in the Bank has to be, I'd say, their third best match together. But it helped. It was a good match because that's when you've seen AJ Styles truly turn heel with the help of Gallus and Anderson. And that's when this rivalry kicked off. I still to this day believe that John Cena versus AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble in 2017 was their greatest match together. But their match on Money in the Bank in 2016 has to go second on my list. Now, number one on my list, this is not even up for discussion, debate. John Cena versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank 2011 was the greatest Money in the Bank pay-per-view moment in WWE history, because the craziest and best match, this CM Punk and John Cena match was one of the craziest and one of the best matches that I saw in the world of wrestling growing up. The atmosphere was electrifying and wild. CM Punk having this match in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois. It was a great wrestling match. Who could ever forget the storyline of CM Punk leaving the WWE with his contract expiring at midnight, and him winning the WWE Championship that night would absolutely set the roof off the WWE company. That storyline was pure gold, and I wish WWE can dig down deep into something as amazing as that once again. But the match itself between CM Punk and John Cena was great. I think CM Punk is in that category as wrestlers that brought the best out of John Cena in terms of wrestling moves. CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, and AJ Styles, in my opinion, are the only 3 wrestlers that push John Cena to his absolute limits to force him to actually wrestle in the WWE ring. But that match between CM Punk and John Cena was great, and that was really the beginning of the summer of Punk. I mean, the pipe bomb happened in 2011. Then fast forward, he won the WWE title, and then he finally won the WWE title later on in the fall against Alberto Del Rio to help him have that year-long WWE title reign from 2011 all the way to the beginning of 2013. But that CM Punk and John Cena feud, oh my gosh, that has to go down as the greatest WWE Money in the Bank moment. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.